Welcome to the Creative Leadership Network, where insight meets analysis and conversations spark transformation. I am IBK. Guys, listen up. There has been a lot trending on the news, right? And I want to really make it simple. And then I want to look into it and say, what can we learn from this, right? Because we have lives to live, right? And whether you have a career or you have a business or whatever you may have, what we don't want to do is we don't want to get so comfortable with the media, so comfortable with entertainment that we allow this stuff to slip in. And then we start acting like that for real, forgetting that we have futures, forgetting that we're building for a reason. And what ends up happening is when you get too comfortable with culture, you really believe that life worked that way, right? But what I want to talk about is when you are the president of the United States of America, there is just certain things you cannot say. I'm going to give you an example. You know, in our families, we have always said stuff like, girl, you know, in the Bible days, shoo, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You know, in the Bible days, it would say, stone a witch, kill a witch. In the Bible days, and when we say Bible days, we're talking about old days. That's what we consider to be old days. So when Trump stated, in the old days, that was considered punishable by death. The reason why people don't get such in an uproar, because we know that he's not talking about go kill him for real. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we know that. Our grandparents talk like that. Our families talk like that. Your families talk like that. People have always talked like that. But when you are the president of the United States of America, this can translate to you. When you are a leader of a company, when you are running a child care or a daycare, or when you are running an apartment complex, or when you are operating a business that you're trying to grow, when you are working as a teacher at a public school district. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we can't get so comfortable with culture that we think, oh, if the president can say it and get away with it, then we can too. You cannot. Is we don't want to get so comfortable with the media, so comfortable with entertainment that we allow this stuff to slip in. And then we start acting like that for real, forgetting that we have futures, forgetting that we're building for a reason. And what ends up happening is when you get too comfortable with culture, you really believe that life worked that way, right? Let's give an example. Cardi B. So she's a superstar. She was on the stage. She was doing her thing, right? Everybody was looking at her. She went to court and all of that. She could be sassy. She could talk a little nasty. She could do this. But how many of us know when you go into a real courtroom, you automatically know ain't no TV, baby. And it don't work that way. It is yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. You understand what I'm saying? And you ain't got all that flair like that. Now, some people may want to act up like that and try to judge, but that's exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be trying. You understand? There's a difference between stating your stance, being real, doing what you need to do, and thinking that things is entertainment, and understanding that these laws out here, these judges out here, these courts out here, baby, them penitentiaries are hot, and they always need free labor. So we know that what we see on TV, what we see in the media is not our real world. Do you understand that? That is not the way it operates. So let's get started with what I want to talk about. And I'm going to talk about Trump today. Yes, Trump. There was something that Trump said in the media that sparked decry on what's called the Democratic side. So what did Trump say? Right? He's always saying something, and there are a lot of people, they just be like, you know what the man done said now, right? So President Donald J. Trump specifically said that the Democrats have some of the Democrats have seditious behavior. And he went on to say a few other things, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. And of course, the media had a parade with it. Now, of course, the Democratic Party is using this as leverage, because either party can do what they do, whether it's the right wing, I'm sorry, or the left wing. They both can use conversations that are being said on either side to say, see, they're not acting right. We need to do something, impeachment or something. And the other side can say, oh, they're not acting right. See, we need to get up and we need to do something, right? So it's always this polarization. It's always this fight, right? All right. Let's start with Donald J. Trump. Guys, y'all already know how Trump is, right? He's a tittle for tattle guy. He's you come for him, he coming for you. He blurts things out, and let's be honest. It's okay to do that if you're a superstar like Cardi B or somebody. It's okay to do that if you not running a nation or a country. But when you run a nation and you run a country, some words you have to be careful on what you say and how you say it, right? Because even if, let's just say you didn't even mean it that way. Let's just say, I was just saying that in the old days, that's how people done it. Well, people are not going to take it that way. And they're going to use it to their advantage. So when you are a high leader and you're leading such things as cities and nations, you have to be careful with your words. The reason why I want to talk to you about this today is because a lot of you guys, you understand what I'm saying, a transition is happening in the world. If you want to be in positions of power, if you desire to be, you understand what I'm saying, a leader, a business owner, all this kind of stuff, guys, you cannot get so comfortable with culture that you just think you can say any and everything, because that can be held against you, what, in a court of law? It can also be held against you, what, in a lawsuit? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a trickle down effect. And all your assets and everything that you build for can literally be taken away from you. People say, well, that ain't happening to Trump. You not Trump. You remember what your mama used to tell you back in the day? Don't do what other people do, because you can't get away with other people and what they can get away with, right? So we're talking about us today. Us people that don't get away with the okie doke, because we not in the clique. Now let's talk about this. Let's get into what Trump actually said. So I'm going to read this off. Of course, this is an article, and this is from one of your major news outlets. And let's get into it, right? So Democrats express outrage after Donald Trump accused a group of Democratic lawmakers of engaging in seditious behavior, punishable by death, and that they should be arrested after they posted a video in which they told active service members they should refuse illegal orders. Now, the article goes on to say, like us, you all swore an oath to protect and to defend this Constitution, the lawmakers said in a 90-second video. And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. Now, that prompts furious behavior in President Donald Trump, right? Because you're not supposed to rebel again. Because remember, when you're dealing with the military, the president is supposed to be the chief in command, right? So the person is saying, but those are illegal orders and you can refuse them. And on this Thursday morning, Trump wrote on Truth Social, it's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. In another post he wrote, this is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. In a third post, he added seditious behavior, punishable by death. He also reposted a statement that said, hang them, George Washington would. Okay. Now let's go on, because you have to get a narrative of some of the things that were said, right? So before you get to saying, oh, this and oh, it doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter what you're fussing about. This is about us. And this is about saying what is being said that some people can get away with saying, but we have to realize in our world, you can't get away with this kind of stuff, right? So pay attention. Following Trump's statement on Thursday, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic Whip Catherine Clark, and Democratic Caucus Chair Peter Aguilar released a joint statement condemning the remarks. Political violence has no place in America, they wrote. Representatives Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzzo, Maggie Goodlander, and the rest, of course, all served our country with tremendous patriotism and distinction. We unequivocally condemn Donald Trump's disgusting and dangerous death threats against members of Congress and call on House Republicans to forcibly do the same. The Democratic leaders also said that they had been in contact with the White House Sergeant of Arms and the United States Capitol Police to ensure the safety of these members and their families. The article goes on to state, we are veterans, national security professionals who love this country and swore an oath to protect and defend this Constitution of the United States, they said. The oath lasts a lifetime, and we intend to keep it. No threat, no intimidation, or call to violence will deter us from the sacred obligation. What's the most telling is that the president considers it punishable by death for us to restate the law. Our service members should know that we have their backs and they fulfill their oath to the Constitution and obligation to follow only lawful orders. It is not only the right thing to do, but also our duty. Now, I want to get down to how the White House Republican administration responded. So, of course, during the White House press conference on Thursday afternoon, when asked by a reporter, does the president want to execute members of Congress? Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, responded, no. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, Leavitt said. You have sitting members of U.S. Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the U.S. military, to active duty service members, encouraging them to defy president's lawful orders. She said, the sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if the chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what the members of Congress are essentially encouraging. So that was Ms. Leavitt's conversation, right? That's exactly what she was saying. So she was saying, let's be clear on what he was actually doing. They were defying orders. The orders are lawful, and they were publicly defying them. She said, and that will cause a rift in the chain of command. Now, what we have to understand is this. What are the orders that the president was commanding? What are these orders, right? Were they lawful? Were they unlawful? What were these actual orders? Okay. So here's what we know, right? According to these lawmakers, they have identified two broad kinds of orders: anti-drug, maritime strikes, and domestic military deployments as potentially illegal or unconstitutional. They publicly urge service members to be alert and to refuse orders they judge as unlawful. What we don't know is that they did not specify a single order or directive with date and chain of command that they want troops to refuse. Their message was intentionally general, right? This means that each service member or their legal advisors must evaluate order by order whether a command is lawful or not, which hardly is a simple judgment in volatile situations, right? So basically, Trump had been talking about some certain things, such as, right, he was saying things such as domestic deployment, right? Because they was asking him a question, do you believe that the military should strike according to these drugs and these boats and all this kind of stuff? And of course, you heard Trump's answer, right? Now, he didn't necessarily call the order, But he was talking about, yeah, right. And then military strikes abroad under aggressive anti-drug, narco terrorism operations. In 2025, the administration ordered a series of military strikes targeting suspected drug trafficking vessels, boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. Some lawmakers and legal experts argue that those operations raise serious legal and constitutional questions, especially when it comes to killing suspected traffickers who are not necessarily enemy combatants, and potentially targeting people outside of formal war zone boundaries. In light of those concerns, a group of 6 members of Congress, all with military or intelligence backgrounds, released a video urging service members to refuse illegal orders. Among the orders they implied might be unlawful directives, those drug boat strikes, and deployments of troops for domestic enforcement. So I needed to get a little bit, and you needed to get a little bit of like what was supposed to be in the order. Like, what order are they talking about? What was supposed to be this order, right? I feel that it's illegal for drugs to keep coming over here. You understand what I'm saying? And keep killing up everybody. I feel that it's illegal that it continues to get smuggled into this country. I feel that it's illegal and harmful, and it's killed many of people. It's terrorizing our young people at this time with all this fentanyl, all this junk that is happening in the United States of America. But does that mean that we should have military strikes? And that's what the argument is all about, right? Should the military be used to strike that type of activity when it is on its way here and you want it to be stopped, right? Hey, people got their arguments and, they got their debates. But what I want to talk about is when you are the president of the United States of America, there is just certain things you cannot say. I'm going to give you an example. In our families, we have always said stuff like, girl, in the Bible days, shoo, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. In the Bible days, it would say, stone a witch, kill a witch. In the Bible days, and when we say Bible days, we're talking about old days. That's what we consider to be old days. So when Trump stated, in the old days, that was considered punishable by death. The reason why people don't get such in an uproar, because we know that he's not talking about go kill him for real. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we know that. Our grandparents talk like that. Our families talk like that. Your families talk like that. People have always talked like that. But when you are the president of the United States of America, this can translate to you. When you are a leader of a company, when you are running a child care or a daycare, or when you are running an apartment complex, or when you are operating a business that you're trying to grow, when you are working as a teacher at a public school district. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we can't get so comfortable with culture that we think, oh, if the president can say it and get away with it, then we can too. You cannot. You say something like that, you will be tracked and traced, and they will be looking at you funny and investigating you, and the FBI, the CIA, and whoever else will be after you. You understand what I'm saying? Watching you. So what I'm saying is that I just wanted to address that to remind us, do not get so comfortable with what is happening in our country, thinking that we can just act like that, because we can't. Now, if you're just an everyday regular citizen, nobody really cares what you're saying. That's just facts. You can be on the bus saying something. Now, don't get me wrong. People will use stuff against you, so you got to be careful. Folks will take your very words and twist them against you when they trying to bring you down. And I'm talking to successful people right now. You understand what I'm saying? What I mean by successful people, I'm talking to people who are trying to achieve something. Jealousy is real. Hatred is real. And people are looking for any and every little thing that they can use against you. Do you understand that? They are looking for something that they can pinpoint on you, that they can use against you. And sometimes that can be your own words. You understand what I'm saying? In the case of Donald J. Trump, don't ever underestimate. That kind of stuff can be used against him in what he's saying. But I do want to make it clear. I don't think he was actually saying, go kill him, go kill him, go kill him. You understand what I'm saying? The reason why I say that, guys, is because we grew up all the time hearing people talk like that. You know, back in the old days, they would have beat your butt. You know, back in the old days, they would have did this and this and that. Back in the old days, old player would have got pimp slapped. You know, people talk like that. So when how old is Donald Trump, y'all? Back in the old days. You understand what I'm saying? So people talk, it don't literally mean that you need to go hang someone or kill someone. Now, in the case of Donald Trump, that's a whole nother theory. But do remember that when people talk a certain kind of way, it's the way that people grew up talking. We heard our families, cousins, uncles, brothers. We even talk like that sometimes. You know, back in the old days, honey, I would have kicked you. But even Christians talk like that. You would have called me 20 years ago when I wouldn't say, I would have stomped that butt. You know, folks do that. Let's be real, guys. So think about the political arena. People are just using stuff to their advantage. That's really what they're doing. Ooh, that's a score for us. That's a score for us. Come on, Democrats. Ooh, we can drill it on home. We can drill it on home. Look at what he said. Ooh, he's dangerous. We need to impeach him. That's a strike for us. Knowing that Democrats have talked like that, knowing that Republicans have talked like that, knowing that everybody and their mama, even Christians, trust me, girl, have you ever heard Christians talk? A Christian be like, baby, if I wouldn't say, you know how they talk. You caught me 20 years ago, baby. I would have bust you upside your head with a bottle. You know what I'm saying? So you understand what I'm saying? So when someone says back in the old days, that was punishable by death. You understand? Which they are telling the truth. Back then, they would do things to you like that. But I don't think he was necessarily saying, you know, but Trump gets, I ain't gonna lie, Trump, how can I put it? Without judging him as an individual, Trump doesn't have a filter as a leader. Now, there will be some people that will argue and say, well, he doesn't need to. This country needs this and this country needs that. Yes, you do need a filter as a leader. There are going to be some things that you want to say. I'm pretty sure that Reagan wanted to say some stuff he didn't get to say. All presidents wanted to say some stuff that they didn't get to say. You understand what I'm saying? You would have caught them on camera. They probably were saying a whole bunch. But there are certain things in the eye of the public, in the eye of the nation, you cannot say. People will, even if you didn't mean it a certain way, even if you did, it don't matter. People are going to use it to their advantage. You understand what I'm saying? And not only that, literally, it could be used against you to ruin your life. You understand what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that to you guys. I wanted to share that with you. So just so you know. Now let's get to the next subject. We're going to talk about Black Friday, right?
Thank you for tuning into TCLN Network, Austin Public. TCLN Network is independently produced by IBK Media Productions. To support TCLN Network financially, visit paypal.me/TCLN Network. Also, TCLN Channel Podcast. To learn more about TCLN Network, visit thecreativeleadershipnetwork.com and follow on all socials, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at IBK Media Works.